Welcome to the Peoria Riverfront Museum on this Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm John Morris, and on behalf of the Board of Directors, Steve Jackson, our chair, all of our staff here, I just want to say we're thankful for you. As a way of expressing our gratitude in this, what I like to call the City of Gratitude, the Central Illinois region, the Peoria Riverfront Museum thought we'd take you on a little tour and show you some of the highlights, what we have in the galleries right now. And joining me to do that is our Chief Curator, Bill Conger. Bill, welcome.
Thank you, John. Great to be here.
Happy Thanksgiving. We're recording this the day before Thanksgiving and sending it to you on Thanksgiving Day is our way of saying thanks. Let's start with this painting right here, which is a perfect painting to describe what one of our board members, Allison Unkovich, is working on, Christmas in the Village, coming up on December 3rd, a great community event featuring the tallest Christmas tree in the history of Peoria, 50-foot tall, 30,000 lights on the Water Street side. But this painting in American Revolutionaries here puts us in the mood for this coming Christmas in the Village. Tell us what we're looking at, Bill.
Well, it does. To Hartford, which is the name of George Henry Dury's painting here, we are seeing the depiction of New England life, which obviously at this point had not had a lot of documentation. So we're seeing the way people lived, and we're creating a new world in America. We even see a little sign here that depicts the direction toward Hartford, indicating that we're moving forward. And likewise, if you look in the background, there's something moving as well, and that's those ominous winter clouds. There are a lot of difficulties in the future that these people are going to face. Dury is so important in the creation of this kind of emblematic style that he begins becoming the main painter and illustrator for Currier and Ives postcards and all of the Currier and Ives imagery that we're accustomed to today. He's an incredible painter, and this painting is just superb condition and an incredible part of his career.
This is the first time that Dury has appeared on the walls of the Peoria Riverfront Museum. How does it come to us? How do we have it?
This is part of American Revolutionaries, Art and Disruption, and this is a grouping that comes to us through Art Bridges, which is a foundation connected to Crystal Bridges in Bentonville, Arkansas, started by Alice Walton. And we are beyond amazed and proud to have paintings like this in our museum for the first time in our history. 3
different projects right now with Alice Walton's Art Bridges Foundation, and we should say thank you on this Thanksgiving Day to Alice Walton for making it possible for us to have this exhibition. Let's enter the exhibition and check out a few highlights. As we walk through, on the left is Childe Hassam's great American Impressionist painting. First time we've ever had Childe Hassam painting at the Peoria Riverfront Museum or our predecessor, Lakeview Museum. One of 30 flag paintings that the Boston native Childe Hassam did. Many of you are familiar with the most famous of his flag paintings, which is of Fifth Avenue in New York City and on display in the Oval Office of the White House right now, as it has been in several of the presidencies the last few years. So amazingly, and Bill, I know we've got a lot to see, but I do want to, let's just backtrack for a second and check this out, because we have on private loan a Childe Hassam.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It's a beautiful, beautiful etching that is pretty common for Childe's work, and he goes through a series of these women in kimonos. And it is just a kind of a study of a moment, this private moment in a household that actually has become almost as famous as those flag paintings. These are and were very well known in his career.
You know, what's amazing is while we have these on loan from Alice Walton's Art Bridges, we also have a number of local objects from private collections that have been lent to us, as well as objects from our own permanent collection here that have been given to the museum. So let's enter further into American Revolutionaries up through the mid part of 2023. We passed by this Andy Warhol, this haunting painting of an electrocution chair that is done in an American Impressionist style. Bill, that pink hue, this is on loan from Andrew Muir, a local collector.
It's a beautiful piece that really is taking American culture and putting a mirror to it and showing we're looking at ourselves, we're looking at the imagery that we would learn about the news in our day. Warhol would take these from newspapers, right out of the newspaper, blow them up, and really reflect our lives to us.
Do we have time for the Gorky?
Always have time for
this is
Gorky.
a very, very important painting on loan from Art Bridges. Bill, tell us what we're looking at.
This piece is called Child's Composition. It is one of the most superb Arshile Gorky pieces I've ever seen. And he is important. He bridges a number of art movements, and in particular, surrealism into total abstraction and the abstract expressionist movement. He is a key figure in developing what will become America's first major art movement, which is abstract expressionism, signified by pure abstraction.
So he's precursor, really, to abstract expressionism, the field of art that was made famous by
Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko,
Rothko.
and Willem de Kooning and on and on.
Let's take a quick look at this beautiful bronze. This on private loan from a collector, really a very important piece. What's the story?
Well, we have a kind of celebration of life through the loss of somebody close to the architect for the Boston Public Library. The sculpture was commissioned to William McMonnies, who created this incredible image of a bacchante who is holding a child in one hand and grapes in another. And a bacchante is a celebratory mythological assistant to Bacchus. And so what we see here is a celebration, but as it was installed in bigger than life size, this is a statuette of the largest copy, which is at the Metropolitan Museum of Art currently. When it was installed, John, the public did not fare well with the mixing
the
of
juxtaposition of the grapes of wine,
right,
and the domestic responsibilities
right,
in the left and the party in the right.
It was
all
interpreted
all on a single toe. It was a controversial piece, rejected by the people of Boston. So,
but New York happily took it.
McMonnies was a student of Augustus St. Gaudens, and we'll see a piece of his just momentarily. Another great artist of American history.
Of note, the beauty of this piece is really that torqued motion, almost wound as if ready to kind of spring loose, and that positioning of the body is really the power in the piece. It's full
So the
vibrancy.
architect McKim of the Boston Public Library, this was a tribute to McKim, who had lost his wife in childbirth. And so it's really in some ways tragic that the people of Boston rejected the piece. It is, however, 100 years later. What's the year of this piece? 1894. In 1994, Boston dedicated a copy of a cast in the library's courtyard after 100 years. It's there now, but the
secondary
original is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Correct.
Behind us, we'll just walk by this incredibly colorful piece by artist named Judy Chicago. Bill, what are we looking at? What's the medium here?
What we have is sprayed acrylic paint on this very hard fiberglass type resin material. It's 1970. It predates the dinner party by over 10 years, which is considered her masterpiece. And what she's doing is she's really riffing off of minimalism, which was a kind of a conceptual art form in the 1960s that was being explored, reducing things down to their most simple forms and shapes. And primarily it was done by big strapping men who were creating, so big bronze slabs of
Judy Chicago elbowing her way in
with this beautiful
the pink,
soft,
the pink elbowing her way into the blue.
Right. That's
using
exactly right.
automobile
Essentially
spray paint.
automobile paint, sure.
Amazing.
Airbrush.
Well, so many more things to see, but let's just walk around the corner here for a second to look at this really traditional, spectacular work, one of the best landscapes I think we've ever had at the museum. And that frame, you can see on that frame. Tell us, who is this? Why is this important that we have it here?
Sanford Robinson Gifford is kind of the second phase, the second wave of Hudson River School painting. He's part of this group. And what we see in the second grouping of artists who are exploring territorially the American vista and creating this with very little inhabitants. But we do have some people in the lower.
Little people.
Very small and implied to be so through the vast landscape that lies before them. Again, this is really exploring our own future. This is documenting the creation of America.
Yeah, beautiful. All of these works of art in the exhibition called American Revolutionaries, Art and Disruption, are about the way art reflects America itself.
Correct.
Our constant tumult, our constant revolution. And let's go all the way back to the beginnings of European America. And of course, we build on, right here in central Illinois, we build on 10,000 years of Native American peoples. But the beginning of our European ancestors is represented by this, one of the most iconic works of bronze sculpture probably in the United States. What is it? Who did it? And why is it important?
Well, Augustus St. Gaudens is the artist here, and he is regarded as the pinnacle of bronze work in the early 20th century and late 19th century. And what we have here is an image of a Puritan, and indeed the piece is called The Puritan. It is designed and was commissioned to honor and to essentially be the portrait of an ancestor of Chester Chapin, and that ancestor was an actual Puritan. His name was Samuel Chapin, Deacon Samuel Chapin. But of course, there were no images.
Must be 300 years early. Chapin was what, in the 19th century, a U.S. congressman from Springfield, Massachusetts?
That's right. That's right. And Springfield, of course, figures prominently in the early.
Much like the McMoneys, which had a large, full-scale, life-size cast.
Yeah.
What we mentioned earlier of the female figure around the corner. This has a full-size, greater than full-size cast.
Correct.
In Springfield today. How large is that original cast?
There's one in Springfield. It is the original. It is, I think, 8 feet in height in total. It's an ominous, hulking kind of image, and this Puritan, this early pilgrim, is advancing. He's literally walking toward you with a staff, a stick in one hand, and the Bible in the other, indicating how they are going to forge their version of America in the future.
This becomes a work of art impossibly made from any kind of reality. There was no paintings or photographs, obviously. The technology didn't exist.
It's a lot of
400 years ago.
interpretation.
So this is from the imagination of Augustus St. Gaudens as to what the puritanical American figure would have looked like. And it has become the power of art. It has become what we think of on this Thanksgiving Day.
It's really
This
true.
is what we think of as the early celebrants of Thanksgiving in America, correct?
Correct.
Puritanical.
And in 1883, Bram Stoker hadn't written Dracula, but look at this.
So ominous.
It's just
foreboding.
The hat is designed to cover up in shadow part of his face.
David, Steve, thank you for doing our camera work today. See if you can get a look close up at that face and just how
interestingly,
ominous.
we have reason to believe that St. Gaudens was really modeling or using as a model the facial features of John Brown. And
John Brown's body, John Brown.
Exactly. So
amazing.
As time moves on, there's a copy of this made, which is in Philadelphia, called The Pilgrim, and the face was changed
to a different face.
Well, to Chester Chapin's features, to favor his features a little more.
Fascinating.
So.
Right here in Peoria, Illinois, let's just move around the corner for a minute. We have on display a work by Alex Katz. Now, many people are familiar with the Frank Lloyd Wright designed Guggenheim Museum in New York City. Right now, the Guggenheim has a major retrospective of this artist, Alex Katz. Proud that, thanks to Alice Walton's Art Bridges, we've got it on display here in Peoria. Why Alex Katz, and what is revolutionary about Alex Katz?
Alex Katz really, he is a central figure to the development of pop art, John, believe it or not. Early in Alex's career, he begins distilling the figure down to very simplistic form, almost cartoon simplicity, flat color, simple gesture that evokes so much emotion in these figures. They are highly referenced from fashion photography, and the simplicity.
Alex Katz the artist is still alive, 95 years
94
old now.
or
He attended
5.
the opening of his exhibition.
It's an amazing career.
Alex Katz really predates the pop art.
Pop art movement.
And just over in the corner from our own permanent collection, and this is beautiful, a print by Alex Katz that we were able to bring out from our permanent collection to accompany the other. This is actually very famous for Alex Katz followers, correct?
It's famous, and I believe a favorite of his. There was a recent article in the New York Times that showed, I believe, the top of one of his cabinets, and he had a small postcard of the green cap on the cabinet. Very recent piece.
On this weekend, which is one of the busiest, if not the busiest traveling weekend domestically in the United States, some people will fly through the Denver airport. And at the Denver airport, they will see a giant blue horse with red eyes outside. It's the most iconic statue in the Denver airport. It is by this same artist that we're showing a sculpture for the first time. Who is this artist, and why does this matter to us?
Well, the piece you reference is often referred to as Blucifer.
Blucifer.
Monstrous bucking blue bronco with searing red eyes. It's impossible to miss, but Luis Alfonso Jimenez is interested in bringing some of the Southwest and certainly Mexican influences of American art into a better view. This wolf that we see howling, in fact it's entitled Howl, is showing us one of the animals that would patrol the border, often shot by guards and people kind of monitoring this division between people. And the use of this animal, as all of the animals that Jimenez used, is in such evocative shape, and you can hear the howl if you look close enough.
Now, the Blucifer, that is sort of the nickname of the piece, the giant blue horse by Jimenez, actually ended up killing the artist.
That's a fact.
Tragically, right? In his studio, it swung from the
fell
chains,
on him,
fell on
sadly,
him, and
absolutely horrible.
Really elevating Jimenez into a kind of gargantuan level in the lore of contemporary artists.
Correct.
We also have, from our own permanent collection, a Jimenez a print that we've brought out. It's the only one in our permanent collection. But how great is it to partner with Art Bridges and have them supply us with the sculpture and have something come out, Bill, from your staff. Now let's take a look at what I think has been a crowd favorite in this exhibition. The Twin Boys by artist Alfred Conte of Atlanta, Georgia, who Bill just met on Saturday.
I did.
How exciting that we've developed a relationship with this, one of the emerging powerhouse artists. Tell us what we're looking at and why Alfred Conte is such an emerging powerhouse of contemporary art.
Sure. Malik and Marquise are brothers, and they are depicted during the pandemic at a point where we are very volatile, of course, as a country, as a world. What Alfred's doing here is not just giving us the image, but he's giving it to us with this dilapidated background, with this background that appears as falling off literally the surface. And he achieves this with a kind of resist method of painting a kind of non-adhesive coat and then putting his acrylic paint on top, so it allows some of this to remove. And it's a very unique, inventive
It's the
technique.
newest piece of art in the whole gallery,
Yes,
and yet it
this
looks
is.
like the oldest
True.
surface with almost this cracked,
True.
old, neglected side of a barn or neglected neighborhood or something. And one of the things that Bill Conger and the team here have done, which I appreciate greatly, is put pictures of the artist on each of the label. And David, let's take a quick look here at the label. Whenever you come to the Peoria Riverfront Museum, you'll be able to see what the artist looks like. This is Alfred Conte, who Bill and Everly Davis on our staff just met on Saturday. It was an idea of Rosemary McCullough, who is the
It's a brilliant idea.
was former board member here and member of our Visionary Society. And we're one of the earliest museums to do that, so you kind of get to know the artist. So now, with the twins in the background, and thankful for young people and for all of us who work hard to try to lift them up. Our Every Student initiative here, 15,000 students this year will come to the Peoria Riverfront Museum and get to see these twins, or the Puritan, or the Alex Katz, or that little village we started with. But to end our tour today on this Thanksgiving tour, we want to thank you by taking you around the corner into a gallery where we feature a lot of our objects of our permanent collection for the grand finale of all. We actually go around the long way so we get kind of a view. As we walk through, you see and hear duck decoys from our Center for American Decoys, some of our beautiful jockered coverlets. These are all parts of our permanent collection. As we come around the corner, you'll get a glimpse of the newest acquisition to the permanent collection. An absolutely magnificent amethyst. Many of you have heard about this, read about it, seen it, but now you can approach it with us, permanently installed at the museum, 10 feet tall, to the best of our knowledge, one of the 3 tallest publicly displayed amethyst cathedrals or amethyst geode towers anywhere in the world. Bill?
It's absolutely stunning. We were able to secure this again just after the pandemic. This was mined in 2019, I believe, John. 2021 in Uruguay, and it stands over 10 feet tall. The coloration in the purple mineral here is just deep and superb, and it is highlit by these amazing lights that are built into the pedestal that we had built for the geode.
We have a collection of about 1,000 minerals in our permanent collection right now, but none were so spectacular as to call attention, and they're not on display very much. So it was the idea of our guest curator and a major supporter of the museum, Bill Heydrich, that we should go after a great mineral. And thanks to the local owner of a shop called Nature Haven, Jeff Nelson, he found in Tucson this Uruguay find. And thanks to Doug Oberhelman, former chairman and CEO of Caterpillar, started his career in Uruguay in marketing and was very familiar with the mines.
Phenomenal.
It's so spectacularly. A number of people stepped forward, led by Steve Jackson and his wife Maggie, and Andrew Rand, Sid Ruckriegel, Sally Snyder, Gretchen Petrakis. I'm sure I'm leaving out, there's a couple others on that list. John Schulch, and I'm sure I've left somebody out. And the chairman of our collections committee, Josh Swank. But ladies and gentlemen, on this Thanksgiving Day, we are thankful for this spectacular amethyst that is brand new to our collection. Wishing you all a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for taking the tour with Bill and me today.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
See you at the museum.